In this video, we're going to try to do a practice problem from section 6.2. So on page 385, number 61, this is the problem we're going to be doing regarding the swim team. So have your book out and while you watch this video to help yourself out with referencing the context. So this says, the high school swim team has the best women's swimming team in the region. The 400-meter freestyle relay team is undefeated in the year. So that just means you have 4 people running each their own leg. Essentially, they want to figure out, the last sentence says, what's the probability that their total time will be less than 200 seconds? So there are 4 different people. There's Wendy, Jill, Carmen, and Latrice. So we'll call Wendy W, Jill J, Carmen C, Latrice L. These 4 combined together make up a relay team. They have the means and standard deviations given for each of these. And I'll show you briefly what those look like in this table. So here's the mean and standard deviation for Wendy, Jill, Carmen, and Latrice. So it's important to have that book out so you can reference those as well. Now, they want to figure out what's the probability of getting a total time that is less than 220. Okay. They mentioned that it's normally distributed. So when we see normal distribution, remember that tells us right away we can use table A. If it weren't to say that, we would not be allowed to use table A, and therefore we couldn't combine these without more information. Now, this right here is the total. So we would need the z-score for the total, which means we do 220 minus mu t divided by sigma t. All the means here and standard deviations, none one of those individually is actually one of these. We need to combine these to make up mu t and sigma t. Okay. Before you do that, you need an equation. A relay time is simply the sum of all the times together. So we're going to add the 4 variables together. So our first goal is to get the mu, the mean. Remember, the mean of the sum is the sum of the mean. So every single mean, add together. And these 4 numbers are in our table. So the mean of the total is going to be 55.2 plus 58.0 plus 56.3 plus 54.7. So my mean total is 224.2. So average time is 224.2 seconds total. If they're asking for the probability of less than 220, realize that this number is less than the mean, so the z-score is going to be negative here. Okay, so keep that in mind. In case you get a positive z-score, something has gone wrong. Now, we're going to find the standard deviation by working through the variance. And the variance operates the exact same way. The variance of the sum is the sum of the variances. They don't give us the variances in the table, though. They give us the standard deviation. So all those numbers in the table, we are going to square each of those. So sigma t squared is going to be 2.8 squared plus 3.0 squared plus 2.6 squared plus 2.7 squared. So each standard deviation squared becomes the variance for that variable. So sigma t squared is going to be equal to 30.89. Square root both sides. And you should approximately 5.56 seconds. So this is the second of 2 things we needed for the z-score. So we first found the mean right here. Sigma t, we just found at the bottom of the sheet, 5.56. So now we're going to take those 2 values and find the z-score for 220. So z is going to be equal to 220 minus 224.2 divided by 5.56. And when you calculate that, you're going to get negative 0.76. And as I said before, should be a negative z-score. It is asking for less than 220, so we know the table, whatever the proportion is, it's already given to us as less than, so we don't need to do the complement like we do on other problems. This proportion of data is 0.2250, or 22.5% chance that the team swims faster than 220 seconds, which is less than 50% because the z-score is going to be negative, yielding a less than 50% probability. So for these problems, again, make sure you have this information first from the problem. This was not given to us. We didn't create that from the writing itself. It talks about the total time, so that's just adding things together. Understand how to write the probability. Understand that you need a z-score for this in order to actually find and use table A. And then these two numbers are going to be found by using the rules we talked about in 6.2. The fact that the mean of the sum is the sum of the mean. The variance of the sum is the sum of the variance. You repeat those rules, work through the math, plug them into your z-score formula, find the proportion, and do the necessary calculations, and now you have your probability.